history. Kept your cool and your dignity. Beautiful family in the face of adversity. Obama, wishing you the best when you go away. Obama, holding on to hope for better days. Did we know just what we had? All the times they treated you bad and refused to open their eyes to the dream that Martin had. Obama, yeah, yeah. Wishing you the best when you go away. Said you gave us your love, Obama. Yeah. Holding on to hope for better days. With all this uncertainty, it isn't all country free. Oh, to ignore brothers' needs. Said if hope were air, if hope were air, would you refuse to breathe? Obama, yeah. Wishing you the best when you go away. You gave us your Obama, Obama. Said we're holding on to hope for better days. We're holding on to hope for better days. We're holding on to hope for better days. I said we're holding on to hope for better days. Yep, that's about right. We are holding on to hope for better damn days. I just love that song and video. Just beautiful. Beautiful. All right. So welcome to Chat with Madam Whip Ass. I am home. Home with a donut on my car. And that's all right, because tomorrow I'll take it someplace and get me a new tire and be done with it. Yes, sirree, Bob. Chat with Madam Whip Ass, Bishop Eddie Long, and the boys. I found the other legal document, a complaint filed by one of the initial 4 young men. And this is Anthony Flagg. And before I get into this, I just want to say that I'm sure people are saying, well, why are you only talking about the negative? What about all the good he's done? The person who asks that question is the person that doesn't have a clue that Bishop Eddie Long suffered from narcissistic personality disorder. One of the main professions that narcissists thrive in, and there are a few, but one of them are in the ministry. Another profession would be entertainment field. You know who was like the greatest narcissist? Michael Jackson. Yeah, Michael Jackson was narcissistic. Yes, he was. Don't y'all remember all the paintings he had all around in his house? Expensive oil paintings at that. Him sitting as a king, and he has all these little cherubs floating around his body and his head. Big 100-foot statues of him stomping through the desert. My goodness, there's just so many classic examples. Classic example of someone who is soaking up narcissistic supply. See, y'all gonna make me pull some stuff up for you. What is narcissistic supply? Narcissistic supply is, you can say, it's the attention that a narcissist needs to live on. They need you to talk about them. They need to always be center stage. They need that applause. And it doesn't matter whether it's positive attention or negative attention, as long as they are getting lots of it. As long as they have you in that little hamster wheel, you know, little hamsters go on that wheel and it goes round and round and round, they just be running, right? Running and going nowhere. As long as a narcissist has you running in that hamster wheel, going nowhere, doing nothing, but giving them the attention, allowing their behaviors to affect you, that's what keeps them alive. How do you kill a narcissist? Don't pay him any attention. But I'm going to show you Michael Jackson as a narcissist sucking up narcissistic supply. Watch this. Hey, look at that. With the crowd going crazy and him just standing there, he's just sucking it all in. That's what's feeding him. That's what's making him live right now in this moment. Or right then in that moment. He needs that. That's why he does what he does and why he was so great at what he did. It's the applause, that energy coming from a mass crowd that feeds him and makes him even want to be better at his craft so he can get more of that at a higher level. He knew if he just turned his head, he'd get more of it. I don't particularly like this particular video. Alright. You want to get up in jail? Enough for you, Mike. That's all I wanted to see. But that wasn't really the full effect of what I wanted to see. That was from Bremen, but it was really this is the one. Really? This is a better effect. Okay, yeah, that's enough of him. Hey, y'all. Chris, J Bills, red face. You want me to open my eyes and start paying attention to who I call my friends. Who have I called my friend around here besides Beasley? And maybe somebody else. Listen, J Bills, it's not that important to me. It really isn't. I'm moving on. Hello, red face. Yeah, so narcissistic personality disorder. And everything a narcissist does, he does for himself. Even if, for example, Bishop Eddie Long, I don't care if he gave 50 people brand new cars. He didn't do it for them. He did it for himself. Well, what do you mean he gave somebody a brand new car, yet he did it for himself, Madam Whipass? Because he wants other people to see what he did, so other people will point and say, he's such a good man. Look what he's done. That's more narcissistic supply. These people think I'm good. These people think I'm great. He only appeared to be humble or looked to be humble because that's how he thought that he should look, not necessarily that he felt that way. Oh, I know Dina Jones from way back when. I was just listening to her video the other day, the most recent one she made. Oh, I'm a big fan of Dina Jones. Yes, indeed. Dina Jones used to go off back in the day with Not Your Typical Negro. Let me go find Dina Jones. Dina Jones won. Yeah, we loved some Dina Jones back in like 2007. This is her page. Is it the video she put up, that one you're talking about from 5 days ago? Because I did listen to it. Yes. I saw it. Dina Jones one. I'm going to put that link in the chat room for you so you can go check out her channel and subscribe. Dina was a mess back in the days. Yes, she was. Love me some Dina Jones one. It was just so many of them that used to go after all these mega preachers and all this wickedness. So many. And now I don't see much of them anymore. And if I do, they're not talking about the stuff that they were known for back in the day. I don't know. I think it needs to be a revival of it. But yeah, so when people brag about Eddie Long and all the good he's done, those of us who are well versed in narcissistic personality disorder, those of us who can recognize the manipulation tactics and all those type of behaviors that go along with the disorder, know that all the so-called, and I put in air quotes, good that he's done was done for his own self-interest. Nobody and nothing else. Dina Jones was on point, Miss Nicole, as usual. As usual. Something else she said in that video, she said that T.D. Jakes tried to have her killed because she would marry Jamal Bryant. I guess it could happen. It can happen. Right, Nicole? But, Dina Jones, yeah, man. I wish that those old videos of her and Not Your Typical Negro was still up and around somewhere, because that was some good stuff. That was some good stuff. And it's funny, I was watching these people for quite a few years and just never thought that I would meet any of them. And I did actually meet Not Your Typical Negro. We just kind of like joined forces with a group of other believers and got together and had a good time at a meet and greet quite a few years ago. Yeah, and hey, who knows? I might run into him Wednesday. And so, yeah, Bishop Eddie Long and the Boyz. So I'm going to go through and read this other complaint by Anthony Flagg. And this complaint is very similar to the other complaint that I read with Marcellus the other day from Maurice Robinson. They pretty much all they had to do was like do one and then cut and paste the other one. But at a certain point, their stories are similar but a little different. And so I'm scrolling through so I can get to the meat of this. Let's see. Okay, Defendant Long has a pattern and practice of singling out a select group of young male church members and using his authority as bishop over them to ultimately bring them to a point of engaging in a sexual relationship. I wonder if y'all can see this. I don't think you can. Let me see if I can hook that up for you. it will seem like it's a bit too much trouble to go through. I'll just read it. Where am I? Oh, okay. So, although the majority of defendants' congregation is likely unaware of the aforesaid practices, many of defendants' Long's victims are known throughout the church as the spiritual sons of defendant Long. See, that sounds creepy to me. And then they'll say, well, that's because you're carnal minded. You're not spiritual. No, spiritual sons, Okay, whatever. Defendant Long typically engages in a private spiritual ceremony. I wish Marcellus was here. Described as a covenant between himself and each young spiritual son, the covenant ceremony. Now, this is a private spiritual ceremony, which is described as a covenant, like a bond or a promise between Bishop Eddie Long and each young spiritual son. And it's known as, in air quotes and actual quotes, covenant ceremony. The covenant ceremony includes an exchange of vows and assurances by defendant Long that he will forever protect the young man from harm by anyone. That doesn't make you feel weird. It makes, just reading that and processing, it makes me feel very weird. Defendant Long uses various rituals in the ceremony, including candles, exchange of jewelry, and discussion of biblical verses that reinforce the spiritual and godlike connection between himself and the young man. The exchange of jewelry. I bet you that jewelry had that creepy symbol that you see at new birth. It's on the it's all in the pulpit. He has that creepy symbol sewed in on his lapel, on his clothes. I've seen him with a ring. I've seen him wear a necklace with that symbol. I bet you the jewelry that was exchanged was that daggone symbol, like a cult. I can bet my last bottom dollar on that. During services to the congregation at large, defendant Long uses pastoral sessions to discuss biblical verses that indicate to his sons that the spiritual son should follow his master. Meanwhile, the congregation at large is mostly unaware of the covenant ceremony that has already taken place privately between defendant Long and his sons. So the congregation at large, they'll see, I'll have a service, a spiritual son service, whatever you want to call it. But they are oblivious to a private covenant ceremony, the one with the candles and exchange of jewelry, and his promise to protect them forever. They have no idea about that special little ceremony. Defendant Long uses monetary funds from the accounts of defendant New Birth and defendant Longfellows, among other corporate and non-profit corporate accounts, to entice the chosen spiritual sons with cars, clothes, jewelry, and electronics. You men who are listening to this broadcast, who did not grow up with your father, whether you never met him, you never knew him, or God forbid he passed away while you was an early age. But can you imagine if you were one of those young men going through your adolescent years and not having a father figure? Could you imagine having someone in your life, a grand man of influence, to say the least, like Bishop Eddie Long, who showers you with clothes, jewelry, electronics. You always got the latest gear. You got the latest cell phone. Even though you get one today, and if in 8 months the new one comes out, you get to have that one too. You 16, 17, you even got your own car to drive. And you travel around the world with this man, around the United States. Could you imagine just being enticed like that? But I bet you can't imagine, like, well, that don't mean I'm going to perform fellatio on him or let him perform fellatio on me. Yeah, you probably can't see how that happens. But I can when you're an adolescent. Because you know how when you were, like all of us, when you were a teenager, you thought you were so smart and you just know everything there is to know in the whole wide world. Can't nobody tell you nothing. Right? You have engaged in a private ceremony with this man who has stepped in the role of your father, who really has been treating you like a son. Father's supposed to, put clothes on your back and give you things that you want as well as things that you need. This man has been doing that. You travel and go places with your father, and every time you travel with your father, Bishop Eddie Long, you don't never come back home empty-handed. You come back with souvenirs or clothes or whatever. This man has treated you like no other. And this is what you think what a dad is supposed to be. You still can't connect the dots where it goes from traveling with him and money, cars, jewelry, and electronics to indulging in sexual behaviors with him, huh? Still hard for you to process? I can understand it if it is. But just tie in the manipulation using scriptures. This is a quote unquote holy man that sits down with presidents, that has influence with people from other countries. He has this grand old church full of people that come to his congregation, to his services every week, a few times a week. And if you're a teenager and you see all this, he must be right. He has all this money, he has everything. He must be doing something right. So if he's twisting scriptures and getting quote unquote deep with you, probably saying something about David and Nathan, you got to read between the lines in the Bible. They say they were best friends, but they were really lovers and, real powerful spiritual men. This is what we do. We have these ceremonies. You're blessed. And it's a spiritual thing that happens from one male to another male. And it's the blessing of God that gets all wrapped up into those exchanges of fluids. Now, I can't say that and make it make sense, but I'm sure he said something along those lines to these boys and made it make sense to their adolescent minds. Thank you, Grandfather Clock. Defendant Long's spiritual sons are taking on public and private jets to U.S. and international destinations, housed in luxury hotels, and given access to numerous celebrities, including entertainment stars and politicians. Yeah, besides you getting all these cars, clothes, and jewelry and electronics, and you're traveling nationally and internationally, but you're also hanging out with people like Usher, Jermaine Dupri, the rappers of the day, T.I., football players, basketball players, all these famous people who are members of his church. And because you in the inner circle with Bishop Eddie Long, there's just an automatic amount of respect that you receive. And you're in your adolescence, receiving such a grand amount of respect and attention just by being affiliated with Bishop Eddie Long. This stuff goes deep. We're not exposing this and dwelling on this because we dislike the man, disliked his behaviors. Well, let me speak for myself. I dislike the man. I disliked him for his behaviors and what he did to these boys, because I know how tormented they are. And I'm not going to stand here and let people praise a predatory demon who y'all call Bishop Eddie Long. I'm not going to let the devil just slip on by into the grave and being known as some great figure, or some great American figure, when all the quote unquote good he did was nothing but a facade so that he could do evil. I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to keep on talking about it. Because the majority of the people don't acknowledge his victims. That's another thing about narcissists. They're very manipulative. They manipulate situations and people so well that they'll have the masses of people thinking that they are the victim. The masses of people think Eddie Long is the victim in this lawsuit and that these boys are evil. That's how sly, cunning, and manipulative Bishop Eddie Long was. That the masses view Bishop Eddie Long as the victim, when there was no such a thing. He is not a victim in this. He's a predator. Defendant Long's spiritual sons are placed on the payroll of Defendant New Birth and become paid employees of Defendant New Birth. Typically, when the young males, confused by the sexual contact with Defendant Long, find girlfriends or engage in sexual contact with females pursuant their own personal desires, Defendant Long initially attempts to block those relationships by increased contact and spiritual talk as to the covenant between the spiritual son and himself. I wonder what that conversation was like. I see you've been spending a lot of time with Funquita over there. You've been having sex with her, boy? Oh yeah, that's what you do? Now, You gotta watch women. The devil gets into women. Watch the devil, because God has a hand on your life, son. So are you with me? It's the God in me that is drawing the God in you. And when you enter a woman, she is sucking the God out of you through your penis. But when it's you and I, we are sucking the God into each other. You see how that works, son? Y'all don't ask me where that just came from. That's just an example of how an adolescent mind can be manipulated and coerced into having sex with Bishop Eddie Long, allegedly. Roll my eyes at that. Plaintiff Anthony Alonzo Flagg is one of the young male spiritual sons described above. Anthony Alonzo Flagg, Plaintiff Flagg, was born March 8th, 1989. He currently resides in Lithonia, Georgia. Shortly after Plaintiff Flagg, when Plaintiff Flagg was 16 years old, he was selected to join Defendant Longfellow Academy. He was selected. Meaning somebody looked around and saw him in a sea of boys and took their finger and pointed to him and said, "We want you." Shortly after Plaintiff Flagg began to participate in the Longfellows program, Defendant Eddie Long became personally involved in ministering to Plaintiff Flagg. Plaintiff Flagg spent significant time alone with Defendant Long and opened up to Bishop Eddie Long about the difficulties he had without a father in his life. Defendant Long told Plaintiff Flagg that he was chosen as one of his spiritual sons. Look at that. God has his hand on you, son. And the Holy Ghost let me know that you should be selected. Plaintiff Flagg performed devotional readings in the morning with the bishop. Defendant Long encouraged Plaintiff Flagg to participate in a covenant ceremony with Defendant Long. In or about May 2007, when Plaintiff Flagg was in the 11th grade, that means he was about 16, and had recently been arrested for simple assault, Defendant Long asked Plaintiff Flagg to move into a home located at, and they blocked out the address. Plaintiff Flagg's mother agreed to allow Plaintiff Flagg to move into the residence since Defendant Long suggested it, and she believes it would provide Plaintiff Flagg stability and more opportunity to learn and grow with such an important spiritual mentor in her son's life. Ladies, did you understand that? Those of you who are single mothers, imagine you have a teenage son who you see he is starting to get into trouble. He is starting to go down the wrong path. You saw it coming. You get that phone call, he's been arrested. The first person you call is not his daddy. Maybe his daddy's dead, maybe his daddy in jail. Maybe you ain't talked to the daddy since before the boy was born. But you're going to call a pastor. You're going to call Bishop Eddie Long. And if Bishop Eddie Long, this man of influence, who sat down among 4 presidents, who eulogized the funeral of Coretta Scott King, says to you, you know what? Let him move into this house, and it'd be better for me to keep a eye and a hand on him. Excuse the pun. Because God got a hand on him, and the devil is trying to get in the way of his destiny. And as a single mother and the Bishop Eddie Long says that God got a hand on your son's life, and he is to mentor him and keep him under his wing, I'm pausing because I'm saying I'm not so sure that I would have went for that myself. No, my adolescent teenage son will not be moving out of our home to go and live in one of your homes, Bishop. But to an unsuspecting single mother, to her that sounds like a blessing. It looks like a blessing. It probably even smells like a blessing to her. But for me, I would smell something that stinks in the nostrils of the Lord to the high heavens. The blood of Jesus. Get on out of here, you old toupee wearing curly head faggot, you. You won't be shining up my son's booty. Shortly after moving into the residence, defendant Long gave plaintiff Flagg a 2000 Mustang convertible to drive. So now you are 16 in the 11th grade. You got a Mustang convertible that you driving around and living in a house. The Mustang was registered to, and they black out the name, but it was registered to a New Birth church member. At some point, plaintiff Flagg was placed on the payroll of defendant New Birth Missionary Church. Plaintiff Flagg's paychecks were delivered to him personally by defendant Long. Defendant Long will come to that residence every Friday and personally deliver his paycheck. Plaintiff Flagg would endorse the payroll check and return it to Bishop Eddie Long, and in turn, Bishop Eddie Long will give Anthony Alonzo Flagg cash, roughly equivalent to the amount of the payroll check. So, Mama, not only is Bishop Eddie Long going to protect the anointing that is over your son's life, and he can only do that efficiently if the boy is living in one of his houses, but he is giving your boy a car to drive. He is telling you and showing you that he is teaching your son some work ethics. Your boy is going to school. He ain't cutting school no more. His grades are rising, and he's getting a paycheck. Now, you don't know about this little tidbit, that the paycheck is delivered to him personally by the bishop, who he comes over, hands him a check, says, sign this. He gives the check back to the bishop, and the bishop pulls out cash and puts cash in his hand. I wonder why the bishop was doing the transaction like that. Was he the bank too? He was was everything to this boy. Daddy, spiritual daddy, bank, cashes checks for him. Huh. And you want me to respect this son of a bitch? I didn't respect him in life. I ain't respecting him in death. Not long after moving in the residence, defendant Long will come to the blank and sleep in the same bed as plaintiff Flag. The devil ain't gonna give you all of that money, jewelry, trips, a car, a job, without you giving him some ass. Don't nothing come for free. There's a price to pay. For Bishop Eddie Long, the blessing was in the ass. Defendant Long engaged in sexual massages from and to plaintiff Flag. Defendant Long then increased the sexual contact to include oral sodomy with plaintiff Flag. That means the pastor licked and sucked the penis of the plaintiff, probably licked and sucked the boy's ass, and vice versa. Well, damn, man, why you gotta say it like that? Because they writing this stuff just too clean. You know, you need to. I need to give it to you raw, like how the bishop gave it to the boy, raw. Don't dress it up with terms like oral sodomy. Defendant Long took plaintiff Flag on trips with him around the United States, including day trips to Charlotte, North Carolina, and Tuskegee, Alabama, and overnight trips to New York, Memphis, Tennessee, Las Vegas, Nevada, and Dallas, Texas. During the overnight trips, defendant Long shared a bedroom and engaged in intimate sexual contact with plaintiff Flag, including kissing, massaging, masturbating of plaintiff Flag by defendant Long, and oral sexual contact. Masturbate your spiritual daddy, son. Ooh, yeah. Now watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this. Oh, damn dirty dog. Employees and agents of defendant New Birth, including whose ever adult name they keep blacking out, is pissing me off, often accompanied defendant Long and plaintiff Flag on the overnight trips and knew that defendant Long was sharing a bedroom with plaintiff Flag. At all times relevant and pertinent to the claims alleged herein, defendant Long was in a confidential relationship with plaintiff Flag defined by that statute code. And it goes on with all these statute codes. And that's pretty much the gist of the sexual behaviors and the manipulation and the coercion that went on between Bishop Eddie Long and defendant Flag. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Nicole, I saw that shirt with the snake on it. I'm like, really? Yeah, I'm sure he did. And I bet you he had to pay Eddie Long and some ass for it, but you won't hear him say that. Where's the scripture where God says you shouldn't speak negatively of the dead? So when somebody's dead, you shouldn't speak the truth? Redface, get out of here with that. For real, for real. Get out of here with that. Well, hello, Debo. What you looking at? Anyway, I'm sorry. I am talking about a nasty, vile predator. And I'm not going to let his predatory actions and ways get swept under the rug because he's dead. Bull crap. I will keep this before the people, before people's minds, before the eyes and minds of parents, so that they could, at least an antenna will raise up in case someone is preying on their children. Hopefully, from what I said, God forbid, should anybody run into a predator, whether he's a minister, preacher, a bishop, or whoever. I did quite a few, Redface. Go look. Countless. I've been at this guy for 6 years. That's why I'm going to the funeral. Hopefully, they will notice the red flags. Nobody is going to take your child underneath their wings and do all of that for nothing. I'm sure their parents, their mothers, have been baffled, like, how the heck did this happen? How come I didn't see any signs? Why didn't I think something was going on? I'm sure they're still confused. I'm sure these mothers are still confused. I'm sure there was a time, if it's still not going on with them, that they're angry at themselves. What blame do you think the parents should share? You think either one of their mothers would allow Bishop Eddie Long into the lives of their sons if they knew that the good bishop would be fucking them in the ass? Really? They're victims too, the parents. They were manipulated as well. They were preyed upon. Hello, Mika. So, Redface, please don't think since this man died, I just started doing videos about Bishop Eddie Long. I have quite a few videos here before he died on this very channel. You can find countless videos done with me and Lance Scurv. Countless videos from the past 6 years. You can hear me on shows at Church Folk Revolution from 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Discussing and exposing the manipulative tactics and behaviors of the likes of a Bishop Eddie Long and the rest of those preachers. I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. You better ask somebody. Thank you, Black Cherubim. And I guess, Black Cherubim, you could clearly understand why I feel it is imperative that I attend this man's funeral. You know what? After the funeral, and the body is there, and everybody leaves out of the church or the chapel, and they close the casket. Before the casket is closed, there's a casket key. It's really universal. But it's the key that you hook into the casket that lowers the bed. And it's a very eerie, strange feeling when you stick that key in the casket and you turn it and you're watching the person go down, 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 down inside the casket. I had that experience with a family member of mine. And I'm sorry that I did that. I wasn't planning to. It just was an unexpected incident. That's a memory I'd rather not have. But for Bishop Eddie Long, I wish I could be the one with that key to just stick it in the casket and just roll that casket bed down, down. I can really just stand there with love in my heart, watching this nigga just go down, down, down. In that casket, I would love to be the one to have to just close the casket afterwards and roll him out. I give a damn how that sounds to either one of you. I could give a damn. I could give a damn because that man was a predator. And he's done more harm. And 5 boys that we know of, those are only 5 that we know of. He's done more harm to them than any good he has ever done. And mark my words, my mother always said, after the tears stop falling, watch. There's going to be some other spiritual sons coming out after his funeral. I'm laughing at you, red face. There's going to be some other lawsuits by spiritual sons against the estate. And I bet you, I would think, well, no, maybe not. You know what? We'll just have to say. We'll just have to sit back and see. Black Chervil says, this is what you do. Ask Styles to send you 75 hot pink dildos and have them sent in with the flowers. He said, that would make TMZ. I don't think he did, Mika. That man lied all the way to the grave. Yes, he did. But yeah, I can't wait till Wednesday. I got my outfit ready. My bright red dress. Hey, Skull. And my red pumps. I am ready for the funeral. And a big old red church hat with a red hanky. Wearing red stockings. And some red elbow length gloves. I'm going to be decked out in red. Be strutting up in there like I'm some world famous evangelist, deserving to sit on the front row among all the other dignitaries. Yeah, man. That's how it's going to be. Yeah, Mika, you got a problem with my red dress? That's the color you wear, bright red, when you go to somebody's funeral whom you have no respect for. You wear a bright red dress. I'm going to overdo it. I'm going to have a red hat, red elbow length gloves, red stockings, red pumps, and a red hanky with a red pocketbook, red lipstick, red earrings, red bangles, and I'm putting it out there. And I'm going to see how many people are going to listen to this hangout, because they're going to be easy. It's going to be very easy for them to spot me. I'm letting you know what Madam Whip-Ass will be wearing. Red from head to toe, literally. I'm even going to have red nail polish and toenail polish on. Yes, I'm going to the funeral, red face. Are you shitting me? What is wrong with you? Have you been listening? You just don't wear red to a funeral. It's a blatant sign of disrespect. When everybody else is wearing black and you wearing all this bright red. So we're going to see how many people actually from New Birth will have seen this video, because they'll be able to spot me out. Shoot, I gotta wear something so bright and red, I need to stand out in a crowd of 25,000 people. 25,000 people all dressed in black. Who is that lady in red? Madam Whip-Ass. Oh, I intend to do a little bit of everything, Red Face. There might be a bunch of little live streams going on for me, you know, 5 minutes here, 2 minutes there. I don't know. You'll have to see when I get there. But you all will be a part of the journey. I won't be showing you too much. Well, tell you what, I won't show. Well, never mind. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hey, if anybody approaches me while I'm wearing red, I'm going to be like, what's wrong with red? What does red represent, Mika? Came here to pay my last respects to the bishop, my pastor, and this is how I'm treated? Yep, telling you. I am ready. My clothes are out and hanging up. I'm ready. I just can't wait. Wednesday can't get here fast enough. Yeah, Carmen Sandiego, she stood out, right? Where's Waldo? He always blended in. You really got to look hard to find that joker. I better not get stopped by any news reporters, because they're going to be there too. Believe that. They better not stop and ask me no questions, because I will let them know I represent Church Folk Revolution. We have been exposing Eddie Long since 2010, and we saw that it was only befitting that we be present at his funeral and see that man be put in the ground. Thank you for allowing me to make a comment. I wonder if I'm still screen sharing. I'm going to turn that off right about now. Okay. Hey, Miss SM, how you doing? Oh, what is your question? Because cracking up, she said, because I could just imagine with a red trench coat. And Mika said, dressed in all red with flowers full of pink dildos. Oh boy, them people will probably think I'd be full of the devil. I bet you there might be a protest going on out there. I plan to get some coverage. Now I'll have on my red pumps, but if it's really kicking out there, I'm gonna have my red flats just in case I need to do a whole lot of walking and running around and filming. Miss Sandra says, so how does a person so comfortable? Yes. I'm quiet right now because I was waiting for Miss SM to finish her question. To have orchestrated the situation with the spiritual sons. because most likely that name that was blacked out probably was a male, and he probably was once a spiritual son as well. I think there are a lot of spiritual sons that Bishop Eddie Long had when they were 14, 15, 16, and had relationships with Eddie Long up until the age they were 20 and 21, when Eddie Long thought that they were just too grown. And I think that they feel indebted to Bishop Eddie Long. They loved the relationship. They felt that Eddie Long really took care of them and did a lot for them. And they think that they owe their life to him, because had it not been for Bishop Eddie Long, they wouldn't be such a great gospel singer that we see today, making records. I think that's how they're comfortable. Always remember that old West Indian adage: monkey know which tree for climb. Bishop Eddie Long knows who he can pick and put in certain positions to cover and aid and abet him, to allow him to succeed in his predatory practices. Nicole, we just did a show called Lance came on my channel the other day. The passing of Bishop Eddie Long. He's on that one towards the end. Oh yeah, I hear TD Jakes is supposed to be speaking. That's how it happens. They probably were once his spiritual sons. There are some who are grieving hard, and they are romanticizing the romantic times that they've had with Bishop Eddie Long when they were 16, 17. Some of them probably was giving up the ass to Bishop Eddie Long when they were 14 and 15. Because Eddie Long knew that they could be trusted, because Eddie Long knew that that boy was enamored and in love with him, allegedly. There are some men who are in their late 20s, early 30s, even mid 30s, who have been in a relationship with Bishop Eddie Long, who will never tell, who will never dime him out, because they don't feel like they were manipulated or abused or violated in any way. They feel quite special and honored. About Jamal Bryant and the snake, yep, I saw that video, and I'm sitting there. When I first was watching, I was like, is that a snake? Why would he have, although I think snakes are beautiful, but still, why would he have a snake there? I think, Miss Mika, some of his victims out of those 5 boys, well, I know for a fact Santino Kemp, that's the one that was real girly girly. I know for a fact he's grieving. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I'm sure they're all grieving in some way. Because when it was good, it was really good. They might not have liked the sexual contact initially, meaning mentally trying to reconcile, doing stuff with another man. But once they got past that, and they're going places and getting money and jewelry and clothes and all of that, in their adolescent mind, from boys to men, that very crucial stage of development, they thought that this would be forever, because this is their dad. They never, it never conceived, they never could conceive that they one day very soon would get too old for the bishop and kicked to the side. You know, if you put it that way, Nicole, it is quite befitting, isn't it? You got a point there, Nicole. But yeah, especially Jamal Paris, when he was in the thick of it with Bishop Eddie Long, I don't think he could even had a nightmare that Bishop Eddie Long would leave him hanging out there like that. Yeah. He said Eddie Long paid for his tuition at Morehouse. And I'm sure he paid Eddie Long something. Because it seems like anybody who Eddie Long paid their tuition for, Eddie Long got paid back. Okay. As a man, I wouldn't tell nobody that. Yeah. And that Jamal Paris seemed like he had a hard time letting go. And I probably can write a script about the conversation that went on between him and Bishop Eddie Long. When Bishop Eddie Long was trying to get rid of him, probably told the boy to get off his dick. Why you sweating me? Grow up, be a man. What have I been teaching you all these years? It's time for you to graduate and ascend into your destiny. Your destiny is no longer on my dick, boy. Now get on out of here. That boy had a hard time letting go. His heart was broken. Y'all don't believe that boy's heart is broken? Shoot. Don't have me pull up the video. Don't have me pull up the video. I'm gonna pull up the video. We're gonna watch this together. And you tell me how this boy felt. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, so we can do this one.
Out to an I-Team exclusive. For the first time, one of the men filing suit against Bishop Eddie Long is speaking out.
We're talking about Jamal Paris telling a story of what he calls a love-hate relationship with a man he considered a father. Senior I-Team reporter Dale Russell first broke the story. He's here with his exclusive report. Dale?
Tom, following Bishop Long's sermon on Sunday, we caught a plane to Colorado, home to Jamal Paris, the oldest of all the accusers in the case. And in a parking lot late at night, he told us a story of love, anger, and a desire to protect other young men. This is a very serious allegation, but no one has heard from you. Jamal Paris didn't want to talk at first, but before he left us, he had plenty to say about Bishop Eddie Long.
If you look at us in our eyes and you hear the pain in our voice, we don't have a reason to lie to this man.
Jamal Paris is one of the 4 young men who have filed sexual misconduct lawsuits against Bishop Long. accusing him of using scripture and church money to sexually seduce young men.
I am not the man that's being portrayed on the television. That's not me.
On Sunday, Bishop Eddie Long spoke out for the first time, never flatly denying the claims, but vowing to fight.
I feel like David against Goliath.
Since the lawsuits were filed last week, none of the 4 young men involved had talked publicly. Until now, we found Jamal Paris shopping at a 24-hour store in Colorado. Initially, he was reluctant to talk.
Theo Russell of Fox 5 News in Atlanta. Can we talk to you for a second?
But once he started, he told a riveting story about how, as a young teen, a 14-year-old with no father in his life, he joined New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. Bishop Eddie Long came into his life. He said Long said to call him daddy and to trust him with spiritual guidance.
I loved him, and I'm always going to have love for the things that he taught me. But how he left us, it hurt worse than anything I ever felt in my life.
Paris claims in his lawsuit the father-like figure used scripture to justify sex, and he lavished money, cars, jewelry, trips in the bishop's private jet, even homes for some teens, sometimes with funds from the church coffers.
You finally have a father that you've always wanted for and always dreamed of would just walk away from you if you don't give him what you want. So you end up turning into something you never thought you'd be, which is now a slave to a man that you love.
Jamal says the bishop began a slow sexual seduction, which became intimate and more intense after the young boys became of legal age.
So while the media and the press and the rest of the people around the city or around the country look at us like, how can a grown man let another man touch him? What you have to understand is this man manipulated us from childhood. This was our father, and we loved him.
Through his attorney, Craig Gillen, Bishop Long has called the allegations in the lawsuits false. In the end, Paris says when the bishop loses interest in sex and sets his sights on other young men, the boys are left behind.
This man turned his back on us when he had no more need for us. That's not a father. That's a predator.
Paris says he attempted to resolve the matter privately with the bishop, but when that didn't work, lawsuits were filed publicly identifying the 4 young men accusing the bishop.
We would have to be the craziest kids in the world to want to come out and admit to another man touching on us publicly. To really believe this is about money would be absolutely ludicrous.
He says at one time he loved Bishop Eddie Long, but he can't escape the nightmare of what he says Long did to him as a young man.
I cannot get the sound of his voice out of my head, and I cannot forget the smell of his cologne, and I cannot forget the way that he made me cry many nights when I drove in his cars on the way home, not able to take enough showers to wipe the smell of him off of my body.
Jamal Paris, near the end of our interview, said he wanted to speak directly to Bishop Eddie Long, and he turned to our camera to do so.
But that man cannot look me in my eye and tell me we did not live this pain. While you can sit in front of the church and tell them that you categorically deny it, you can't say that to our face. And you know this. You are not a man. You are a monster.
And then Jamal Paris got into his car and drove off into the night. Now, we tried to contact Bishop Long. His spokesperson told me that they'd have a comment after they saw our story. I haven't heard from them yet. Tomorrow night, a lot more from Jamal Paris, including behind-the-scenes story of those pictures we've all seen of the bishop in the bathroom. We'll have more from Jamal Paris also on our website, myfoxatlanta.com. A lot of new material that we haven't had in the story here. And you can follow the story with me on Facebook and the Twitter account.
If this ever made it to court, these would be very damaging witnesses.
I think Jamal would be a very strong witness in a legal case. Of course, it's up to a jury to determine whether or not they believe him.
Leaves a lot of people wondering, by the same token, why it took so many years for guys like Jamal to come forward in the first place.
We talked about that. In fact, he said that when the relationship was cut off, he didn't realize there were other young men involved, and they didn't realize that there were other young men involved, and they all started to get together and started to compare notes, if you will. And he says that's what sort of led to the energy that got to the case, to the lawsuits that have now been filed.
All right, more from you tomorrow. Thanks.
Thanks, Dale.
His presence alone is seduction to a young man without a father. You look at him and he's everything you want to be. He's everything you see and you dream to be. And being around him it's almost like a drug. You can't believe the place that you're at in your life and the things that you're doing and the cars that you're driving and the people that you're meeting. So it becomes, if I want to continue to feel this love and this power, I'll do whatever my dad wants me to. I can't accept in my mind that he never was a dad to me. So I love him for that. But at the same time, for what he did to me and taught me and how I see the world, I'll never be able to forgive him for that.
Why didn't you just stop and say, Bishop, that's wrong?
You're afraid to lose your father. You're afraid that if you tell him no, the support that he gives to yourself, the support that he gives to your family, and the support that he gives to you mentally, and the fact that you finally have a father that you've always wanted for and always dreamed of, would just walk away from you if you don't give him what you want. So you end up turning into something you never thought you'd be, which is now a slave to a man that you love. If you look at us in our eyes and you hear the pain in our voice, we don't have a reason to lie to this man. I loved him and I'm always gonna have love for the things that he taught me. But how he left us hurt worse than anything I ever felt in my life. So while the media and the press and the rest of the people around the city or around the country look at us like, how can a grown man let another man touch him? What you have to understand is this man manipulated us from childhood. This was our father and we loved him. This man turned his back on us when he had no more need for us. That's not a father. That's a predator. We would have to be the craziest kids in the world to want to come out and admit to another man touching on us publicly. To really believe this is about money would be absolutely ludicrous. I cannot get the sound of his voice out of my head. And I cannot forget the smell of his cologne. And I cannot forget the way that he made me cry many nights when I drove in his cars on the way home, not able to take enough showers to wipe the smell of him off of my body. But that man cannot look me in my eye and tell me we did not live this pain. While you can sit in front of the church and tell them that you categorically deny it, you can't say that to our face. And you know this. You are not a man, you are a monster.
That's the sound of a man with a broken heart. Nicole, don't you know that these mega preachers, number one, first in line would be that damn Paula White. They study people like Jim Jones. All of them are master manipulators. They manipulate your emotions. They manipulate you spiritually. Jim Jones is like the leader to study. He manipulated thousands of people to drink poison and kill themselves. They study people like Jim Jones. Yeah, he probably called him gay, Nicole. You gay. Jim Jones, master manipulator. Paula White, her congregation is full of black folks. I believe it's like 48,000 of them. How does she maintain the control of that many black folks? She studied somebody like Jim Jones. I never forget the first time I ever heard or saw a Paula White was in New York back in like 2000, 2001, 2002. It was in the summer, and my friend said she invited me to this church. And she said, some lady named Paula White is going to be there. And she said, come on. And Salt was there. She was performing. It was some sort of function. And we watched Salt perform some church song, that song she had out with Kirk Franklin and all of that. And then we went inside, and it was Paula White preaching. And while she was preaching, she was just saying some stuff that made me give her the side eye. Like she said something like, you know, people can't believe that I'm a white woman that can preach like a black man. And I was like, oh, really? And then she was like, look to your neighbor and slap her upside her nappy head and tell her that God got something good for her. Slap her upside her nappy head. And ever since then, that woman left a bad taste in my mouth. Oh, there's plenty of videos, Redface, that I did about Paula White. There's one called Blessed to Kill. You know what? I'm going to pull that up. You want to know why? Because it's apropos. In that video that was done coming up 5 years ago, Paula White took over this church. And it has something to do with Donald Trump. I'm not going to say no more. I'm going to pull that video up. Let y'all hear for yourself. It has something to do with Donald Trump's presidency 5 years ago. Oh boy. Blessed to Kill.
You are now listening to The Lance Scurv Show, the boldest spot on internet radio.
Sometimes I feel like I'm walking outside of myself, like in a dream or something, because it's just awesome to just sit back and watch God move. I mean, look at Long Throat.
For real.
Man, I'll tell you, before 2012 is out, New Birth is going to be shut down. The IRS is going to run hell up in there.
So wait a second, you're talking about New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Lithonia.
Yeah.
So you basically...
Yeah, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of dirt going on. There's a lot of money still there. I mean, you look at the situation there with the whole ceremony with the Jewish rabbi dude there. I mean, maybe I'm saying it wrong, but we just hanging out here talking. I mean, after the whole scandal that broke with the kids, with the young guys, the money he had to pay out, you don't pay out that kind of money when you're not guilty.
Listen. The first time I watched that, I knew that rabbi was a rabbit.
A rabbit.
Yeah.
You have a way with words.
That's what you call a crooked rabbi, a rabbit. Just put a carrot in his mouth or up his butt. He might like that.
Well, yeah, deal with Eddie Long, he might like it, You never know.
And you know what was perverted about that? The whole thing was perverted. But the pervertedness of the perverted was when he took the cover off of the Torah and refers to the cover as the foreskin.
Yeah, why is it always these sexual connotations? Didn't Eddie Long do a sermon, a spermin sermon? I'm a clown.
A spermin sermon.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about it is, the Torah is always related or referred to in the feminine. So when Jewish people refer to the Torah, it's like she or her. So if it's a she or a her, it doesn't have a foreskin.
Right.
So that came from Eddie Long with his perverted stuff. Yeah, foreskin, call it a foreskin. That was just completely sick. But that's just Eddie Long. I mean, God is knocking them down like dominoes. Because the next domino to go down is, what's that chick who thinks she's the Tia Marie of the gospel?
Oh, Paula White.
Yeah, Pastor Paula White.
Tell me about Paula White. What's going on with her? I mean, I heard a few things out here, because I'm down here in Orlando, and you're around and about all over the place. You're omnipotent because we never know when Madam Webbass will strike. But yeah, so I caught a little something on the news where the people were protesting. The members of the church were protesting her being the pastor there in the wake of Pastor Zachary Timms passing away, which to me, allegedly, let's say it like that. We're going to use that word a lot in this conversation. But to me, the man was killed. And nobody wants to say anything about it. That's my opinion. Who am I? I'm not the president. I'm not running for political office. I'm not in the whole, church crew. I'm just a person who reads the papers. Okay.
You know what? Wait. Let's play connect the dots and see if we can arrive at your conclusion. Yeah.
There's a lot of dots to connect from what I've heard, and speculation. I mean, okay, you're in New York City. And I mean, okay, the New York City Police Department has got to be one of the most advanced in the world. That's New York City. Yeah, Los Angeles, or big cities, and so Chicago, but New York City, especially after 9/11. Okay, there are cameras everywhere. What's the hotel that Zachary Timms was in? It was a high-class hotel. It had to be a lot of digital cameras and heavy security. When you have a person of note there and other people who may not be as public, they're there, you have security tight. Okay, he's there. What about the cameras in the hallway? Who came into the room? Who left? He just went in there and had a white powdery substance. Well, if you can't tell us how he died, what was the substance? If you ask me, that was to kill off any inquiry of wrongdoing by innuendo, because we know we had a problem in the past. So white powdery substance. Yeah.
Okay, but let's start with the first dot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Back in May of 2010, remember when Donald Trump was running for president?
You're right about that.
Paula White called for elite pastors to come and pray with Donald Trump.
But why would she call those elite pastors to pray for Donald Trump? I mean, what's the connection? I mean, what is Trump like hitting that or something? What's going on?
Well, here's another dot. Ready for the second dot?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Zachary Timms had the largest congregation of black folks in the Orlando area, and probably in the state of Florida, if I'm not mistaken. And he has a very large influence of black people. Now, if you can get asked the white chick to get into that church, well, then she can influence them to vote a certain way. And being that black people really connect with her because she talks black and acts black, and she'll tell you in a minute that she's a white woman that can preach like a black man because she can whoop and all of this stuff. And why black yuck that up, I don't know.
What is it about us? Now, see, we're not being racist here. We're not being, but this is the fact.
Wait. Let me clarify that for you.
Yeah.
And don't you remember, because you lived in a different part of Queens than I did. Now, I know in your neighborhood, wasn't there a white girl or a white guy that acted and talked black and hung with us?
Always.
Did you have one in your neighborhood?
More than one.
Okay. And, it wasn't a put on. That was just them.
Right, because they were raised
white
on
the outside, but if you spoke to them on the phone, you would think you were speaking to a black person.
Right.
They dated black guys and black girls, and none of us got mad.
Right.
They're part of the family. And it was just genuine. Like Tina Marie, there was nothing fake about her. Tina Marie was Tina Marie.
Yeah, I love Tina Marie. Exactly.
And I bet you, if anybody who personally knew Tina Marie, never once has Tina Marie ever said something to the effect, "Child, get your nappy head out of here."
Right.
So Paul White says stuff like that in her sermon. Look at somebody and slap them in that nappy head and tell them you're going to make it to heaven.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Pick
yourself up by your nappy head and tell the devil you ain't gonna take it no more.
Wow. But when she says something like that, a Jewish person, some characteristic or something about, them, she wouldn't. I don't think she would. But why do black people accept this type of stuff? Paula White is not the Tina Marie that she's trying to be. To me, it's like, it's a grafted thing. It's like, well, I know you are gullible because I'm white. Look at my name, Paula White, and I'm white. And subconsciously, let's just go there. Probably half the guys in there probably want to, lay a little something up in her anyway. I'm raw on a subconscious level. Oh, look at this sexy white chick and whatever. She's holy. And there's, not to get off the subject, but there's this sexual tension in churches anyway. Folks talking holy, dudes checking the females out, females getting this attention, and it's an undercurrent of whoo. And it's been like that. People don't talk about it, but I will. But other than that, I just, what are you getting at? I mean, you're trying to say that she's down with Donald Trump. She's trying to get into this church. She's there. Trump wants to allegedly,
Look.
Are you basically saying that Pastor Tibbs was knocked off?
I did a little research. Will you listen?
Okay, talk to me, sweetheart.
Okay. Now, this is how Paula White took over the church.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once Pastor Zachary, passed away, the board, and you can find this on the Florida Corporate Commission records, corporation statutes or status.
Mm-hmm.
You find that on the website.
Right.
There were four board members. Mm-hmm. You had Zachary Timms as the executive director.
Uh-huh.
You had Sam Anderson, who was the director. And then you had the treasurer and the secretary. I can't remember the treasurer's name, but the treasurer, it happens to be the husband of the secretary, who is Marguerite Estenisa. So the treasurer and the secretary are married.
So you did some serious stuff here.
Now, wait. Now, on any board, it's really not wise to have a married couple. And
right.
When you got a married couple as the treasurer and the secretary,
oh, that's a scandal right there.
It's a scheme, allegedly.
Allegedly. Gotta stick that in there.
The director, Sam Anderson, happens to be fired as we speak. And that he was fired because he probably was against Paula White becoming pastor of this church, allegedly.
Mm-hmm. Allegedly.
And, you know, so the order was that the board would select a new pastor, and they had, you know, a list or criteria to meet.
Right.
And one of the criteria was pastor had to be married with a wife and children. And they had some other things listed as well. So Paula White was called in to be an advisor to the board and the board of elders. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then you had another board, which was the board of bishops, which consisted of T.D. Jakes, I.V. Hilliard, Neil Ellis, and Bishop Williams. So the board of bishops, their order of business was to, after the board of elders would submit whoever they recommended to the board of bishops, then the bishops in turn would, you know, give a recommendation back to the board. So Paul is just an advisor to the board of elders. Allegedly, she manipulated the board and manipulated the board of bishops. And next thing you know, she's pastor. So how are you called in as an advisor? And you don't even meet the criteria of what the board was originally looking for. You're not a married man.
Wow.
But then again, well, I better not say that.
But wait a second.
Anyway.
Wait a second. Aren't her churches in trouble financially?
Yeah, she has two churches.
But
one is Without Walls in Tampa, which
in Lakeland. In Lakeland, I think that one is Without Walls.
No. There's Without Walls in Tampa, which allegedly is $26 million in debt.
So why does she stay and clean up with her own mess?
Hold on. Mm-hmm. Then there's Without Walls in Lakeland. That one is in foreclosure. It's vandalized. The utilities have been cut off. They have like those big orange signs that the state or the county would slap it on the door. You know
what?
Yeah.
So
it's like a ghost town.
But she's not fit. She's not fit for anything. If you can't handle your business and you're that much in debt, okay, I see it now.
Well, allegedly, you know, when you're blessed to kill,
that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
You walk into a church that is debt-free. New Destiny Christian Center.
Oh, you can get your hands on all that money. Get your hands on all that money.
So allegedly, Paula is hooked up with the board of elders.
Make sure to check out the boldest blog at landscurve.com and follow.
That was part one. And here's part two.
I see it now.
Well, allegedly, you know, when you're blessed to kill,
that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
You walk into a church that is debt-free. New Destiny Christian Center.
Oh, you can get your hands on all that money. Get your hands on all that money.
So allegedly, Paula is hooked up with the board of elders, which consists of now the married couple, who are the treasurer and the secretary.
You know what?
The secretary controls the minutes of all the meetings. The treasurer controls the money. So allegedly, they're all in cahoots.
I'm not trying to get lewd here, but it seems like somebody somewhere is getting a blowjob. You don't have to say something like that. How do you just walk in and you mismanage all of this money and you get, your credit's got to be jacked up, credibility in the religious community jacked up, and you get your hands on this. But wait a second. He gets knocked off and she's there, but she's connected to Trump. And Trump wanted to be president. Well, he's not going to be president, but he doesn't want Barack Obama to be president. Barack Obama would have gotten support from Pastor Zachary Timms and probably would have swayed the vote, which I'm not going to say is close, but whatever it is, when you're in Florida, when things are tight, you pretty much lean it towards your way. So if somebody's not around, you're not going to get that support, and you plant your own person. So, I mean, New York City is owned by certain people who have a lot of money and buildings and real estate and a lot of influence. So it makes sense that the
Donald Trump, right?
Allegedly, right? So New York City, the police department, the police people, the media, everything there, I guess they're not going to allegedly really dig deep into this when you, allegedly, my first thought, my opinion is, hey, keep this on the hush-hush. Stick a little powder there. The powder's there. Why wasn't the powder tested to see if it was cocaine? Why? I'm just saying, there's a lot of loose ends here.
Because it's a black pastor. His members aren't going to make a big stink about it because they're blind. They're too busy sniffing up Paula White's butt to see anything.
Daisy Dukes.
She has them bamboozled. They don't do any research. They don't realize that she probably researched Jim Jones because she acts a lot like him.
Well, you know, these cult members, I mean, these cult leaders and this whole, they have a way. It's like when they train you for multi-level marketing, they train you to sell people on things. There's ways of grabbing people's attention and winning them over and getting them euphoric and selling them a dream. And they're walking out there, you know, so high, and it lasts for a week until they come back for more and nothing really changes. These people get all your money. This is what happens, you know, so, wow.
And you know, the thing about it was that Zach and Paul weren't even tight. They weren't even tight for the past 4 years.
But wasn't she running around saying
Not
that?
only that, Zach has never even been on Paula's show. How can she stand up before his congregation and talk about, oh, I was his spiritual mother. That was my spiritual son.
Wow.
She didn't even speak to him for the past 4 years. Scheming, allegedly.
Wow.
This church is debt-free. But see, Paula might think, you know, she got it in a bag, but she really doesn't, because
but you know, also
God is doing new things, Lance.
Yes.
He is throwing these people down.
But you know, driving the bus out here, I get to hear people in the street. You know, from what I gather, what I heard that, you know, I always surf the net, having the blog up and everything, that I heard that a lot of her derogatory YouTube videos were yanked. And I don't think it just gets yanked because public outcry. I think maybe she might have had something to do with that. People don't want to hear bad things.
Of course she did.
But that being said, that there are people who go back with Zachary Timms that I've overheard them. And, you know, you hear conversations. They say, man, you know, I was out there, you know, pounding the concrete, pounding the pavement, man. We were raising money for the original church and everything like that. And there was no Paula White in sight. You know, there were people who go back and say, well, listen, I remember when Zach, you know, first came to the Lord, and, you know, the year, it doesn't add up. When she says that she knew him for so many years, it adds up. It doesn't add up right.
Paula White allegedly is a wicked, wicked woman. Because now that she has become pastor of NDCC, why is it February and Zachary Timms doesn't even have a headstone on his grave?
For real. And I know people that, I've heard that, and they've told me that. And there was one person I know that is still there, and I asked him, I said, is this true? He says, I jog every morning, and I run through there because Pastor Zach is my spiritual father, and I just have to do this. I just have to run. It makes me feel a certain way, and it's a damn shame that there's no headstone there. I mean, the church is paid for. There must be money saved up. We have this woman here who's in heavy debt coming in. Out of respect, I mean, come on now. Anybody, out of respect, why isn't there a headstone? I mean, I'm gonna probably go go down there and get a few shots so that if anybody says, well, it's not
some
true.
video.
Yeah, I want to go down there.
Anybody can do out of New Destiny is put a headstone on that man's grave. That shows how much they respected him.
Right.
That shows you exactly where Paula's heart and mind is. It ain't on nobody, not even the Lord. It's all on her and that green money.
Right.
Allegedly.
Right. Allegedly. This is our opinion. We can say that now, right?
Allegedly, she's anointed by God. Allegedly, she's thin.
Well,
allegedly, she's never had plastic surgery.
Well, I mean, allegedly. Right?
Allegedly, she's not an adulteress.
Come on now.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Right.
Allegedly, she never throws down the Bible on the ground while she's preaching.
Wow.
Allegedly.
Well, this is going to be something to see how this whole thing pans out. It's really going to be something because
it's
the truth always comes out.
And a lot of people are watching. She doesn't think people know, or as many people, she just thinks that everybody's blind. And people can't see through this alleged scheme.
Alleged.
But God sees it.
You know what?
God sees it.
You're absolutely right.
And he doesn't allege nothing.
He knows. You see, that's the thing. He knows. You can't lie to him. You can lie to everybody else. You can control the press. You can pay off the police department. You can use a person's situation and missteps in the past to influence public opinion in the present, white power. But God knows. And this is the thing. Something will come out. There are things out there. You can even go to people and legally
threaten. You know what Paula needs to do? Paula needs to repent sincerely and step down from New Destiny and go back to her old church.
She's too close to the money. She get that right. She has to get the money from there and do a favor for her friend, Mr. Trump.
You know what? Shame on Paula if she thinks she can spit in the sky and think it ain't gonna fall back in her face. Wow. Shame on that heifer. Shame on her if she don't repent. Because people see right through her.
Yes, you're right about that.
People see the alleged scheme. People know exactly what she allegedly did.
And who's behind her with everything, too. Let's not get that twisted.
Allegedly.
But then again, let's see how it all pans out. Let's see the direction that they go. I'm just a regular person reading the papers and have my own thoughts, but I hear the rumbling in the streets because I work with the public. So you can't stop that. You can't stop from what people know, and they put the pieces together and it eventually all comes out. And you can go up there with your plastic look, your prefabricated words.
Listen. Let's just talk about foolish black people.
Oh my God. There's a whole lot of them up there in Lithonia.
I'm sorry. just let me say what I gotta say to my people. Because it's amazing, just like Jim Jones. They only assimilate to us so they can turn around and manipulate you and get your money.
Exactly.
That's exactly what Paula White has been doing. Allegedly.
This is our opinion.
The people wake up and see the devil for who the devil really is.
Exactly.
When somebody wants to come to you and step to you and tell you the truth and try to pull the blinders off your eyes, you turn around with your blind eyes and look at that very person who's trying to save your soul and your money and call them a demon.
Exactly. Well, Madam Whip-Ass, you're the devil. You're evil. You are not speaking the truth. You're saying these alleged things that it's gossip and it's falsehood. God forbid you cause people to think.
Well, you know what?
God forbid you cause people to connect the dots.
We're not supposed to expose alleged wickedness and wrongdoing.
But if they weren't so wicked, wouldn't they want to be transparent? Why would a person allegedly want to pull down videos off of YouTube? If you're lying about me, and I know it's a lie, go ahead with your lie, because soon the truth will expose you. I don't worry about that. I've been lied on, but there must be some truth. Let's see how long this video stays up.
There's a quote that I love so much, and it goes like this. Lies run sprints, but the truth runs marathons. So when people lie on you, it's just a little sprint. Lies die out very quickly.
Wow. I'm loving
that. The truth
I'm loving
runs marathons.
The long haul. Wow. I really wish these people will wake up and see what this woman has allegedly done. Blessed to kill, allegedly. Allegedly. Madam, I want to say that it's been a pleasure. You have my head spinning. I have a lot to think about. New York, the hotel, the police department, Paula White, the money, the headstone, tying it all in. The meeting with the spiritual elite. Spiritual elite, really? I mean, maybe it could be some secret society that goes out and does things to people to manipulate. Bottom line is that the masses, we're sheeple. We're sheeple.
It's all part of the pimp game, and every pimp has a bottom bitch.
There you go.
You're it, Paula.
Allegedly. Madam, I'm going to take a little quick run. I want to hear maybe another 30 seconds from you before we head on out of here. I love the conversations that we have.
I know.
The private conversations we have are so. Imagine we had like a show out there somewhere.
I know, right? Oh my God.
Look at the conversations that we have. I have a whole lot to do today. We have a show later on.
We just gotta pray for people that their eyes will just open, because they really need to see who the real wolf is. But you know what? God is moving, and He's showing them. He's exposing them. And her days are numbered. She's going down. She's going down. She's going down like the Twin Towers.
Going down like a prostitute at the red light. She's going down like a hungry crackhead prostitute on the red light district on the industrial side of town for $3. No, I ain't the same like that. But
you know what? You gotta put a song when you play this video.
Almost definitely.
Remember that song? I want money.
Yeah. I want money. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, remember that? Well, you know what? That's copyrighted material, and YouTube might make me pull my video down because of that. Because Paula White might not like the song. So we're going to keep everything on this video.
Well, then I'll sing it on the way out.
There you go. Hit it.
How's it go? You can't be walking and getting down on your knees.
Okay. That was a video between Lance Scurv and I back on February 11th, 2012. Yep. Zachary Timms was found dead. He was a pastor of New Destiny Christian Center in Apopka, Florida. And he was in a very fancy New York City hotel. They found him dead. A couple of years later, they released the cause of death, drug overdose. They found him with a white powdery substance. Apparently, he had a heroin addiction. And that was August of 2011, I believe. And that June, prior to Zachary Timms being found dead in a hotel, Paula White and some other elite pastors met with Donald Trump in a special private prayer thingy that went on. We're talking about back in 2011. And it was said that it was decided in that meeting that Zachary Timms allegedly, it was decided in that meeting, should be exterminated. And the concept allegedly was that Paula White would take over that church so that she can influence those members in getting Donald Trump to be president. And this was, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And it was for that upcoming election. As we know, Obama won again. But even now that we see Donald Trump in office, who is his spiritual advisor? Paula White. Yeah. She's been down with Donald Trump in more ways than one. I'll put it like that. So with that being said, for people like Redface, you need to know and understand that I've been fighting against these mega snake in the pulpit, pimp preaching, bottom bitch prophetesses and pastors going on 7 years. I ain't new to this, honey. I'm true to this. So with that being said, I thank you all for tuning in and watching. And that'll be all for now. God bless each and every one of you and have a great Saturday night.